Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. It is going to be an absolutely gorgeous day out, and I hope it is also beautiful where you are today. And as my Mother's Day gift to you, I thought I would answer probably the most frequently asked question, and I'm sure I'll answer it again in the future, but the most frequently asked question on any of my channels, on YouTube, on Instagram, on my blog, and that has to do with my use of gravel in the pots. Now this whole area here is, I'm getting ready to restyle it, repot some stuff. It is too busy and it's going to get a little bit of a rework. This area, by the way, which when I do my garden room tours, this we call the bistro area. And it's been really nice lately. I have used it for a lot of social distancing meetings and things like that. But the question that you guys ask over and over again has to do with gravel. And why do I put gravel on top of my pots? And what gravel do I use? And where do I get the gravel that I use that you see pretty much everywhere in my garden? So let me once again do a reveal on that and an explanation for why I use gravel on the top of my pots as a mulch and as a top dressing. And the answer is threefold. Number one, it keeps squirrels out. And this is a perfect example. So look here. The one pot here, the faux bois pot in the back with a little boxwood topiary, it has gravel on it. Notice that it is undisturbed and intact. Look at the pot next to it, this lemon cypress topiary that was not too long ago beautifully top dressed in moss, in live moss that I had harvested. Beautiful. Also this smaller faux bois pot with a myrtle in it. It too has been disrupted by squirrels. We got a little bit of rain, so you can see the residual water in this tray. So notice how it kept the squirrels out and it kept them from disrupting the soil and the beautiful moss mulch. And that is primarily one of the reasons I do it. Secondly, I love it because it is just beautiful. I really like the way it looks. It's got a beautiful organic quality to it that usually I think blends and coordinates beautifully with whether it's a faux bois pot, a concrete pot, a terracotta pot. And then I also like the way it repeats the color of gravel that I use in between my bricks in my decking area. So it's quite harmonious. There is no dissonance in terms of the material that I use as a top dressing. So imagine what it would look like if that had white stones on top or black stones on top. It just wouldn't be nearly as consonant and I think as beautiful. So I like the way it repeats an element that's already existing in my landscape, which is this beautiful pea gravel. And I love the way it crunches. I like the way it sounds underfoot. Yes, it does travel some, but that doesn't bother me a whole lot. I really like the sound and the sensuality of beautiful pea gravel. Now on my decking area here, there is an underlay or an underlayer of crushed gravel. And on top of that, the pea gravel has been brought in large quantities from, I believe it was Minix Material here, at any rate as a stone supplier here when we first laid down this decking area. Now, when I buy it in smaller quantities, it is exactly the same color, and I get it from Lowe's. I get it it comes in bags. It's about $3 to $4 a bag. Whenever I need to replenish any areas that have thinned out in my backyard decking, then I just get a bag of it. When I want to top dress anything and I run out, I just get a bag of it. I sometimes even use it as a soil amendment when I'm planting allium bulbs or lilies or anything that really needs fabulous drainage. Then I can add it to the hole. It doesn't break down over time, and it really enhances the drainage quality of the planting hole. So secondly, that would be my second reason. I do it because I just love the way it looks. It's organic, it's sensual, it speaks to me, and it resonates and matches the style of my home and garden. And then thirdly, it's a very practical reason. It, in addition to keeping squirrels out, it also holds moisture in, and it sometimes can even prevent weeds from germinating. So these pots, I need to clean out some of the seed heads and things that have fallen from the redbud trees, but look how beautiful it also looks with some large stones that some of these were gifted to me. Some of them come from our Colorado property in Salida. Actually, a couple of the smaller ones I brought back from the Mediterranean Sea when we visited Monaco a good number of years back. So you can blend it with stones like that, and I think it looks beautiful. And then sometimes if I've got broken pieces of stone that have sloughed off of my flagstone, and you can see that the surface of this pot here needs a redress, and I will do that. But sometimes I even put flat pieces of stone in there, and I call these, you've heard of patio pots, I make pot patios out of this. That way if I want to set smaller pots on top of that, this pot really needs some attention. And I'll take care of that this weekend. So sometimes I just fill a bucket with gravel and I go around and I top dress any of my pots that need it. I don't do this to all of my pots. It kind of depends on what the planting is and whether or not I feel that it matches the aesthetic and the vibe of what's in the pot. So I do it with succulents, I do it with anything generally that has a Mediterranean vibe. Now here, for example, on this Eugenia, I don't have any on the surface, but and pretty soon I'm gonna do a video on something else that's really fun that I like to use to top dress my pots. I also think it just gives them a finished look, and it helps different types of pots communicate with one another. So in this area, I've got a mixture of metal pots, concrete pots. Do I have any terracotta in there? I don't see any, but you'll see how it helps them all speak the same language. And I'm thrilled and quite flattered that so many of you guys have adopted this practice. You tell me about it all of the time and you show me. And I think it's just one of those really easy, inexpensive things that you can do in your own garden to make it look more sophisticated. I love signature touches for the garden, and it is definitely a signature touch of mine that emanates and runs through the entire garden. Now you might say, can I get a bag of pea gravel from Walmart? Can I get it from Home Depot? Can I get it from my garden center? You can, but it's not the same color. That from Walmart tends to be whiter and chalkier and doesn't have the earthy brown buff tones that I like in my garden, but maybe that aesthetic works for you, that color palette works for you. A garden is a personal thing, so you do what works. But for me, I really like the color at Lowe's. If I could find that same color other places, I would, but why look elsewhere when I can make it easy on myself? So, from myself and the cardinals and my beloved birds, I wish you a happy Mother's Day and hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any more questions, just shoot them to me and we'll try to answer them in a video. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Stay safe and stay well.